campaign map. Then my wall, my single piece of grid wall with all the different blisters on it. Back when I was searching for old obscure games, I've heard about this game Ronin. So each boxed starter set comes with kind of a robot's torso and body, and then you have all these different. And each of these columns of blisters isn't all the same item. There's a lot of different items back in there, so you can go all out customizing how that mech looks. And then I have some Battletech figures and some Legendary Encounters figures by Reaper. When Reaper came out with pre-painted fantasy figures, I had to buy pretty much one of each to support them because I love it. And I heard they're going to do a Kickstarter for Legendary Encounters Kickstarter. Are you kidding me? I can buy all the different pre-painted fantasy figures I want. That's nuts. One of the first, I think the first Kickstarter that I ever backed that actually succeeded was this. For this, Creatures the card game. So I backed it like a 4-copy level. So these are unopened copies. Creatures the card game. That was like how long ago was that? 2010, I thought. So that's like 6 years ago. That's crazy where Kickstarter has come. It's like, I wonder whatever happened to these guys. And then this row here is just random figures. So I found this at a antique store. It's just a female fighter. I had seen figures at this store, and this one was one of them. And little by little, every time I'd go back there, more and more of these had sold until I went back there the other day, and this was the last one left. And I said, well, I might as well grab it. And then this one I got at that same store much earlier. It says it's a ghost, but I cannot find anything about this figure. It's kind of a hooded Reaper looking figure holding a lantern. Every time I search for Ralpartha Imports Ghost or just Ralpartha Ghost, there are figures named that, but none of them look like this. So, very weird. And this was in a discount bin at one of my friendly local game stores. It is that figure. It's one of the Draconums for Mage Knight. They came out with these metal figures, which really made no sense because you couldn't play with them in the game. I guess people who loved painting figures, which was the reason I got into Mage Knight, was because they were pre-painted and I didn't have to paint. But people who like painting figures may have liked the sculpts, so they came out with these metal versions that you could paint yourself. And then here's some old Clan War figures for the Legend of the Five Rings Miniatures Battles game Clan War. And Darkest Night. They just had a Kickstarter for a new edition of that. Here is Dungeon Crawl Classics. Before it even came out, they had this poster to kind of promote it, and you just had to email them or something. I don't know. You may have had to pay postage or just email them, one of the two, and they'd send you this. So I did way back in the early days. It's like, I wonder how many people have that poster, because I bet it's probably not too many. And then, of course, my big, beautiful History of Role-Playing Games Cosmology poster. So it starts right in the middle. Dungeons & Dragons started it all. And then as it goes out, you can see the years get sooner and sooner, going out both ways. And the bigger the planet, the bigger impact it had. So you'll have gigantic worlds like Werewolf and some of these huge worlds I never even heard of. Like, what is Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? Was it really big enough to warrant that? Because I definitely heard of Traveler and other small little ones. Rogue Trader. How does Cadillacs and Dinosaurs have a bigger moon or planet than Rogue Trader? That doesn't make sense to me. I guess maybe they did it based on units sold, but I mean, even D&D Next doesn't have a very big moon, but you'll see all of them. There's Tunnels and Trolls. Oh, I think the Fantasy Trip is in here somewhere. Should be right around early 80s, late 70s. I know. There's a Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game. Yeah, but I just love it. Oh, there it is, the Fantasy Trip. And it's got kind of a big planet, too. Very cool. Love that to death. You might still be able to get these at the Gygax Magazine website, which unfortunately, Gygax Magazine short-lived and is no longer in print. And then, of course, my Warhammer Fantasy, what was it? 8th edition was their last edition of this. Now it's Age of Sigmar, which I won't touch. I'm not, completely opposed to it, but the reason I fell in love with Warhammer was the rank and file. The way the figures just look all ranked up like that. And Age of Sigmar threw that away. So, there's videos, really detailed videos on all these armies. This is my Orc and Goblins army and my Empire army. There's some signed cover art of Castles and Crusades RPG. So yeah, just the way I had this all set up just has been really nice. Game shop area over there, vintage video games. There's some board games with the board game table, and then I have my shelves over here full of knickknacks and things just to make it look more full. Obviously it'll get more full once more games show up. And then here's this neat table that actually whips the different levels around. Oh, it could go all the way around. But right about, because I do the village on top, and then the level right below that is the dungeon, and then below that is the caverns. And I actually have it lined up if I close it all up. So it's just one big square, so that this house actually has a trapdoor that leads down those stairs. And so that is the basement, basically, of that house. Just like this section down there lines up with a trapdoor under the inn. And then over here, the gold piles, you can kind of see there's a trapdoor by the gold, and that takes you right down to that waterfall and takes you down in here. So yeah, there was kind of a rhyme and a reason to how I did that. One last thing, I guess, eventually I have this alcove area here. I want to put like an I would love to find an old vintage fantasy arcade machine to put in there. I was thinking pinball, but I would really love an arcade video game machine. But then I just got this from Hobby Lobby the other day, and I was like, no way do each of those drawers open up. Oh yes, they do, every single one. So I broke out my miniature building authority wizard's tower. Each of these is a different level that lifts off to put on top. And then so now I just put my dice in here, tokens, some pre-painted Pathfinder figures. If I ever need any of this, I just reach in here and grab it. But this is what I love it for. It perfectly fits these Dwarven Forge pieces. This is one full set of one of the basic walls, corners, floors, and doors sets. And I don't have anything in the other ones. Thinking about filling them up with those, but so that is what that is. I guess one last thing I could bring up is what's in here. This is, just a utility room that I have full of all my overflow. So there's all my thousands and thousands, various CCG cards, more cards, and Clan War figures, and other miniature figures. Lots of Dwarven Forge boxes. These are full of random things. I have a lot of Playmobil down in here as well. And other boxes and knickknacks. A lot of the old resin Dwarven Forge stuff, a computer. Eventually I want to get this all cleaned up. I have an old desk in my garage I want to put right here by this nice window where these turntables are spinning. You might recognize those turntables from one of my couple of my really early game room videos from when I lived in my parents' house. I had those under some halogen lights with some Warhammer figures on them. But the sun does those well. But I want to put a desk there, set this computer up, kind of make it almost a painting station too. But I have to clean all this up. I just don't know where I'm going to put most of it. And then of course mainly was all these boxes here were full of miniature building authority stuff. You can see my videos on my Castle Kickstarter from Miniature Building Authority unboxing. But I was able to air out all my buildings and castle pieces from them. I have a bunch of other non-Miniature Building Authority buildings and stuff down there too. Some box sets of Confrontation. My Eslo terrain. And some terrain mats. And Citadel game boards and all sorts of stuff. Accessories. And this bookshelf is full of Dwarven Forge sets, also from their other Kickstarters. This box is full of their new city stuff. Here's a big box full of their city stuff also. I didn't put it all back in their original boxes like I did with the other Kickstarters. I just dumped it all in here. And there's just so much stuff down here. I have just figure cases full of painted figures that I would buy on eBay. I mean, I could spend triple the amount of time I've spent so far just looking through all this stuff. This is Confrontation figures, and I think there's AT-43 figures in here also. There's all these unpainted Metal Clan War figures, Arcane Legions stuff, Dwarven Forge pre-painted Lizardmen there. There's AT-43 in there for sure, I know. This is some of the figures I got on eBay. All these boxes are just full of stuff. There are some Magic the Gathering cards and other random cards. But anyway, more figure cases full of figs, Crow's Master cases, Mage Knight figures. Just a ton of stuff. I thought with getting on my shelves I could really expand, but there is just so much. So it all kind of is dumped in here. So that is that. But out here it looks much nicer. This whole basement is my game room. And it just looks better all the time. I still have more posters to frame and hang up. And just look at that. Doesn't that just make you smile? So that is everything, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was a long one. My cell phone would never, ever have let me take this long of a video. If you made it to the end, congratulations. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone watching. And I know people ask me to take videos of certain things, and people will ask me or tell me their thoughts on how I can improve the channel, but as you know, I don't have ads on my channel. I just do this because I always love watching other people's videos. I'm subscribed to a ton of different gaming channels, and so I just kind of do this so I can look back on my own stuff, and if someone happens to watch it and enjoy it, then that's good, but it's definitely not professional by any means. I'm not looking to make money or gain viewers or anything like that. So That's just how basic it'll be. But yeah, some people will ask me to do videos on specific things. I really, really have to want. There has to be a need, a personal need of my own for me to actually record something. So normally if I get and I get stuff all the time, but I don't videotape all of it because sometimes I don't think it's all that necessary. But if I get like a big lot of stuff in, then I will consider taking a video. But anyway, so again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.